In my practice, I treat a lot of people who are young. So the whole practice is probably between 15 and 35. And what I'm finding with this population is a social skills deficit. We have an entire society, but in particular, the younger group, but it applies to everyone. I'm not just limiting to that group, where this group has pretty much spent their whole life. There never was a period without modern cell phones. And their means of communication is DMs, social media, texting. So what has that done? That has eliminated the training to read expressions, to read body language, to understand what smells mean. I think we've all underestimated how important body tone, voice, smell is in terms of human interaction. Because I think your interaction would be a whole lot different if that person was in front of you and they smelled of alcohol or tobacco or some drug, or they smelled nice, or they looked nice, their tone was right. If the tone was off, the expression was off, it's a whole different animal. I mean, for me, doing a session in person or doing it over FaceTime or Zoom is an entirely different ballgame. Social media is no substitute for an actual friend that you spend time with. The lesson here is when something goes wrong, call up your social media friends and, are they there? I don't think so. So what's happening here? No one is able to deal with conflict. It's all this social media, texting, DMs, talking to someone on FaceTime. No one can deal with disagreement. No one can deal with rejection. You're not able to modulate or handle the skill needed to deal with rejection. And what happens is, in the real world, you get very anxious when you can't. Because the real world does not go your way most of the time. Another thing I'm finding is people can't listen. Everyone's got like a 30-second attention span, if that. Who watches even a movie? They're on their iPhone or iPad or some device, scrolling through social media, looking at TikTok, looking at FaceTime Reels, texting, emailing. They're doing something else. It's a complete collapse of deep listening. And what's the effect here? I'm saying careers are not advancing. You can't become a manager. You can't even talk to people. Romantic relationships are falling apart. It's just not happening. Mental health is deteriorating and people are becoming very anxious and depressed. It's skyrocketed. In this population, 15 to 30, it's through the roof. And people's self-worth has collapsed. When I'm dealing with this group of people, what I'm finding, even when they go to the real world, it's limited. When they're out in the real world, they're on their phone. If they go to class, for example, the minute they come out of the class, you know what they're doing? They're on their phone. It's just not happening, the real world experiences. People have an abundance of choice at home. What does that mean? Well, they can scroll on social media. They can play on their game consoles. They can have a host of movies, shows. We're probably into the thousands because everyone has streaming, Roku, special antennas, different channels or different means to get all sorts of channels and entertainment options. You could sit there and just flip through the different options for 2 hours and go to bed. And what that's doing is making people who are always at home. And you know what happens at people who are always at home? Well, their appearance gets neglected. Their body, they may neglect being physically fit. And what you're getting, the checks and balances of being out in the real world, If you go out in the real world and you look ridiculous, people might laugh or make a comment. Well, at home, the checks and balances of behavior, speech, clothing, hygiene, it doesn't happen. So there are no checks and balances. When you're alone, you tend to not dress up. You tend to not take care of your hygiene, not take care of your body. So the checks and balances of real world behavior are not taking place. And I call it internet brave. Do you see how mean people are on the internet? I'm out there with my videos. I write a blog. People are horrible. I never get, oh, that's a great article or that's a great video. I get, you do this wrong, that wrong. I'm like, you're so mean. People are so mean. They're absolutely hostile. Yeah, they're internet brave behind their couch where they know nothing can happen to them. Everyone says whatever they want, has no filter on what they're doing. But when they go out in the real world, they're afraid to say anything because they know the dangers. So they're anxious and depressed because they cannot read human expression or behaviors. I don't know how many people are causing fights or getting in arguments because they're completely inappropriate. There's channels on internet and YouTube about people who are completely inappropriate because they don't know how to act in public. Something's got to change. We need third spaces to increase. We need the educational system to focus on social skills, where AI will tell us the facts and how to think, but we need social skills training, and that's the future of education, and it needs to start right now. It's Dr. Mark Agresti. I have a blog every day on drmarkagresti.com, and I hope people can subscribe and like to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye.